Now, Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace. She's a fiscal conservative from South Carolina, and Democrat Ro Khanna of California. She's a member of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. I know you guys have done a few things together, including cybersecurity, which has been quite bipartisan. Try to get to that. But right now, Congresswoman Mace, let me ask you about Cedric Richmond of the White House. Continues to make the claim that $3.5 trillion bill is actually going to cost nothing. What do your constituents believe that to be the case or not?
Well, I can tell you the American working class knows it's not going to be free and that it will cost something. There's going to be a massive tax hike in order to pay for it. And the left wants to say, Democrats want to say that this thing is going to be free. It's not, that they're only going to tax the rich and tax corporations. But the devil is in the details. And when you read about the spending packages, both in infrastructure and the 3.5 or 5.5 trillion, whatever ends up being. But there are many, many tax breaks for the rich and many taxes that will be laid down on the backs of hardworking Americans. This goes to show how radical the left has gone, pushing this kind of agenda. And it's made it very difficult for Republicans and Democrats to work together in D.C., which is why you saw the debacle on Friday and the next few weeks in figuring out how it's going to work or may not.
Let me ask you just one quick thing before we turn it over to Ro. If the bills were separated, right, if the infrastructure bill were to get a standalone vote, would you be a yes?
I would not. Only less than 10% of the $1.2 trillion actually goes to roads and bridges. Again, the devil's in the details. $40 billion only going to roads and bridges. Of surface transportation, another $70 billion is going to public mass transit. There are 42 new taxes in that bill, and Republicans didn't get to negotiate on the Transportation Infrastructure Committee on how that $1.2 trillion would be spent. So on the House side, at least, it was not done in a bipartisan way.
Okay, Congressman Khanna, thank you for coming back here. Of
course.
I see the lights are still on Capitol Hill for now, right? I want to play a clip from Bernie Sanders on ABC this past Sunday. Man, his price tag is enormous. Just give this a quick listen here.
What the president has said is that there's going to have to be some give and take, and I think that that's right. I think, if anything, Jonathan, when we especially talk about the crisis of climate change and the need to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel, the $6 trillion that I originally proposed was probably too little. $3.5 trillion should be a minimum, but I accept that there's going to have to be give and take.
Wow, $6 trillion is too little. Do you agree with that?
Bill, let me put a couple of things in context. Senator Sanders is talking over 10 years. Donald Trump added $7 trillion to the deficit in his term. By the way, he was the largest adder to the deficit other than George W. Bush and Abraham Lincoln was under the Civil War. So what we're talking, let me be frank. Yes, there's going to be a cost. I'm not hiding that there's not going to be a cost. It's going to be a cost to help provide people with child care, to make sure every American...
But just to be clear, I mean, we're looking at some big numbers on the screen up here in New York, but all Sanders was talking about was the climate change initiative. And during that comment, he went from $6 trillion to $3.5 trillion. I ask you, I mean, what is an appropriate number here? If he's leading the progressive movement on the Senate side for sure, and with a lot of influence on the House, what are you going to go for?
Well, the president is going to decide what the compromise is, but here is the issue. Yes, the taxes are going to go up on the very wealthy. You know where they're going to go up? In my district, in Silicon Valley. We've produced $11 trillion of market cap in the last year with the pandemic. And you know who's going to be helped? The heartland, the South, places that have been left behind, because we're going to invest in new jobs. We're going to invest in industrialization, in child care, in making sure people get to go to community college. So what I'm saying is tax my district so we can help the rest of America.
Well, this is a highly contentious issue. We're going to follow it the entire month. One thing that you guys have been able to do cooperatively is you've worked together on a bipartisan cybersecurity bill to try to make sure that our defenses are in top shape. How did you do that, Congresswoman Mace? I'll let you go first.
Well, it's very rare. I think there are 5 to 10% of opportunities here for us to work together. And Congressman Khanna, I want to thank him for the opportunity to do that, because we both know that cybersecurity is national security. And this program will help ensure that our federal agencies, our cyber workers are better skilled and share those skill sets around various agencies. So where we can work together during very divisive times right now, we really should. We ought to try to lower the temperature of American politics to do best for our nation. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to work with him on this critical piece of legislation that just passed out of the House last week and now moves on to the Senate.
And a lot of that work will be done right there in your district.
We're out of time, Khanna. Quickly on that, just congratulations on getting something done, right? A Democrat and Republican.
I just want to say, Representative Mace, you can see where you have philosophical disagreements is one thing, but she never makes it personal. She's willing to reach across the aisle. Frankly, we need a lot more of that in this country.
Okay, so I think we've got the start of something here, you two. So keep us in mind. We're going to bring you back together as this debate goes through October and likely November and maybe even December. Is that a deal?
I'm here for it. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for being here.